Greetings everyone, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, welcome. Today we're going to be going over how I achieve this super cute Jayda Wayda half and half hairstyle. So starting off with the products, I'm using some mousse, the neat braid gel, my edge booster, some rubber bands, and of course a comb. Now y'all don't be fooled by these little ponytails, because look what she unleashed on me. Okay, all of that hair, y'all. All right, so you want to start off with, of course, clean and hair that's blown out straight and product free. Okay, now did she blow it out straight? No, she didn't. You'll see that as we get through the video, but I'm just gonna start by parting her hair from ear to ear. And you want this to be a high part, meaning you want it to go up, you know, higher, closer to the front of the head, just so that the hair in the back can, you know, show from the front, or you can make it nice and full. You only want the cornrows to be a short distance, if that makes sense. So don't make your part too far back. And you just want to section off that part once you have it all parted off. And in the back, you see here, I'm going to be doing 4 cornrows. And this was to give the hair a crinkly or curly effect, just like a braid out. You could do bantu knots or some type of twist out. And look, y'all, this is what I was talking about. Look how I'm struggling to part through her hair back here. She blow dried it herself and she didn't do a good job, but that's neither here nor there. We're just gonna work through it. And I'm using that foam again just to help me with those curls. And y'all, I really kind of wasted my time on this part, because once I got done with it, she ended up taking the hair out and just wetting it up and doing her own thing as far as the curls in the back. It still came out super cute, but I feel like braiding it or twisting it would help to scratch, you know, the curls, versus when it was wet, you know, the curls draw up quite a bit. So you just want to section off the baby hair. If the client wants baby hair, of course she did. So I'm just using rubber bands to secure that. And then afterwards, we're going to go in, and for this design particularly, just part right at the start of the eyebrow. I would say part off a square section on each side. So this should make the front section into 3 sections. All right, and this is actually versatile. You could style the front braids however you like it, or however the client like it. There's not one way to do this. You can really freestyle on this part. All right, so I'm just going in and I'm going with the flow kind of. She did show me a picture, so I'm kind of combining my own ideas with the pictures that she showed me. And using my comb, I'm just taking my time to part out her hair, and I'm using that gel to reinforce my parts. Okay, you always want to reinforce your part. And I'm going to tell y'all this again. If you want clean, neat parts, you need to continue to go over and over and over it until you get it to your liking, okay? And you'll see me lifting the hair on both sides. I'm just making sure that everything is even and the braid portion is the size I want for the braid, if that makes sense. So I'm going in there with that neat braid gel, and I'm just going to saturate the part on each side. Okay, I just want to smooth it down, taking my comb and my finger just to smooth everything together. And you'll notice this is not going to be like a stitch braid tutorial per se. I do have other videos on my channel detailing how I do stitch braids, but you can kind of get an idea of what I'm doing here. I'm just using the rat tail end of my comb, and I'm creating a stitch line. Every time my hand turns over, I want to make a new stitch line. And now I'm starting to use my pinky. So you can try it out different ways, whether you use the comb, your pinky, press on nail, or even those little stitch braiding tools. Whatever it is that helps you best create that stitch line, you want to go for that. You want to keep your hands pretty nice and secure. You know, not that you're killing the client's head, but keep it as secure as possible so your stitches don't slack, and keep your fingers close together. And you really want to take your time, especially on these type of braids. You want them to be very neat, okay? So never rush through the head. Just take your time, and it's going to come out nice. So getting to the end of the braid, once I got the braid all the way to the end point, I just took one of those small black rubber bands and I secured the end, leaving the ends loose. Y'all, and we are going to be using only her natural hair for this style, okay? Even for the back part, it's going to be her natural hair. We're not doing any added hair. And so once I secured that part, I just left the end of it hanging loose. I'm going to go in with the second. And this braid is going to be pretty much just like the previous braid. I'm just parting it, kind of going straight back. It's not straight back. It's kind of at a diagonal. And I'm taking my time going over that part until I get it neat. Once I got it neat, I'm just sectioning off the rest of the hair so that I can really focus on the section that I'm dealing with, and taking that neat braid gel and just applying it to each side of the braid, molding it and getting it prepared to be stitched. And y'all don't mind my son in the back. Y'all see him. He wants to be a part of this video so bad. He's just waving and walking by. So say hey. All right, so I'm just starting off stitching. I started off with my pre-section. I locked that in a few times before I started to actually stitch. And now once I move back on my braid, I'm going to start stitching on each side of the braid. And this is going to go all the way back. Again, you really want to take your time. And as you can see, whenever I feel the need, I pick up that comb and I use that to get my stitch line, or I'll use one of my fingers. Whichever one you're most comfortable with, that's what you want to use. Okay? And you'll learn that in doing hair, there are so many different techniques to do a certain style or to do a certain technique. It's so many ways to do it, okay? And what works best for somebody else might not work best for you. So I always encourage everyone to try things different ways just so you can see what works better for you. And once that braid is all finished up, I'm going to do the same thing by just adding one of those small black rubber bands just to secure the braid and to prevent it from unraveling at the ends. Because again, we are using her natural hair, y'all. And once that braid is all finished up, I'm going to do the same thing by just adding one of those small black rubber bands just to secure the braid and to prevent it from unraveling at the ends. Because again, we are using her natural hair, y'all. If I were doing a sew-in or quick weave in the back, a rubber band most likely wouldn't be needed, just because I would braid in the end of the braid to the back braids, if that makes sense, okay? So now moving on, this time it's going to be a design, and I'm doing a crisscross design. You want to part out a straight line just like you did for the other two braids, but this time I'm going to split that in half, section off half. You could section off the front or the back, but then you're going to part out another straight part. You're going to split that in half, and then you're going to section off the opposite half, if that makes sense. So if you section off the back end on the first part, you're going to section off the front end, as you can see here, for the second part. And you'll see what we're going to do. I'm going to actually take and braid this first part, still doing the same techniques that I used on those other braids as far as the jam, the molding, and the stitching. But when I get to that halfway mark that I sectioned off, I'm going to braid onto that other side. Okay, I just take my braid and I braid and attach it right onto the other side, as you can see here. Then once I let the braid loose for the parts that I section off, I'm going to do the same thing, braid it, and then cross it across the braid that I already have in. So just pay attention. It's super easy, y'all. When you look at these designs, they can look very complicated, but with time and patience, you'll get it. And I'm being very mindful of her baby hairs while I'm braiding towards the front, because it's very easy to catch them up. So just keep that in mind. All right. So I got my little design in there. And from there, I'm just going to do maybe about 3 or 4 more braids that's going at a slant or an angle. And don't beat yourself up about this part, because remember I said it's all freestyle. Okay, it's all based on the look you're going for or your own creative mind. Okay, any type of braids that you think would look nice, go for it. So I finished that up. And again, I'm going back in with another straight braid. Y'all can see she already trying to fill it out and see what's going on. She already kind of feeling herself. But now for the ends, like I said, this is where I did like the bantu knots. I took 2 braids, 2 ends of the braids. I used some of the foam and I just did a twist, and I twisted that twist into a bantu knot. Sorry, y'all not going to be able to see how the bantu knot and the braid out came out like I wanted y'all to, because I had left for lunch and I came back and she had then took the back out and, like I said, wet it up and moosed it up and did her own thing. So unfortunately, we won't be able to see that part, but you get the picture. Now, I did part off another section on the side, just like I just did on that other side, and I sectioned that off. And now we're going to work on doing the middle. So the middle is giving the vibes of the Alicia Keys or the Jayda Wayda cornrows that curve and we're going straight back. But of course, we're doing half the head. So I just parted out the section that kind of went in a curve, and I'm doing the same techniques by gelling it, molding it, and stitching it. And as you can notice in this video, like I said, take your time. I'm really taking my time. When you look at the clips that's not sped up and that are moving in real time, you'll notice that I'm really taking my time. And people don't understand, they get like, why do people charge so much for a few braids? Listen, y'all, when it comes to these stitch braids, they're super tedious. Like, as you can see, each time your hand turns over, you got to make a stitch. Okay? And then sometimes your feet in here too. So the technique can be very tedious. Keep that in mind the next time you're wondering why your braids may be so high, because each braid I have to sit here and, just stitch it all the way through. And it's a lot more to it than what meets the eye. So don't be afraid. Charge your worth when it comes to these certain styles, especially if you are good at it, because you're worth the pay for your time. And I'm still going in with that comb as needed to create the stitch lines. And you'll notice as you start to braid in the middle of the client's hair, that's where everything gets a little bit more fuller or full, a little more full. And the hair gets coarse or super coarse in the middle sometimes. So just keep in mind your stitches may not be as predominant or as noticeable as it was towards the size of the hair, because the size of the hair is typically more fine. Okay, so thicker the hair, I say the harder it is to see the stitch, versus on the size of the hair, it's not as thick. And I'm just checking the braid out, making sure everything is lining up just how I want it to look. And once I get to the end, again, I'm just going to go in and secure that with one of those rubber bands. And once I feel like it's nice and neat, I'm just going to go in on the other side and I'm going to braid another curve braid going into the opposite direction. So for this part, you kind of go back and forth in direction, braiding one braid, and then after that, the other going in the opposite direction. And this actually was super easy to do, and it came out very cute. So if you just follow along pretty much with what I'm doing, you'll be able to achieve the same design. And don't forget, as you can see, I reinforced my parts with jam and with the comb. And I'm not sure if you noticed just a few moments ago back there, I did pull the hair together and I kind of squeeze it tight. And this helps you to see if your part may be crooked once you start braiding. So once you start braiding, everything is kind of pulling tight and close together. So what pulling the hair does is give you idea of once you do get the braid in, if the part will remain straight. All right, so I just finished up on that braid and jump skip. As you can see the design, I just carried those braids back and forth until I got in the middle, and I finished that off. And you can see, look, she already feeling herself, y'all. She's checking it out. So I'm just going in on the other side, and I'm going to pretty much do this design just like I did the design on the other side. And again, y'all, don't forget, it's no one way to do this. Get creative. Get creative and make it your own, okay? Add whatever designs you want. You can make the braids larger. You can make the braids smaller. The possibilities are endless, okay? So just take your time and create. And while I got you here, I always have to encourage my newbies or people that's just trying out a style or just starting out with braiding. I want to say practice, practice, practice. It takes time to get good at something regardless of what it is, okay? If you had a job at Burger King, you don't go in there just knowing the line on the first day. You have to come back again and again and do it over and over before you can, get it good. So just keep working at it and you're gonna get better, okay? All right, so I finished off both sides, and as you can see, I have my Bantu knots going for the curls, and I did flatten her edges, y'all, because she likes those fluffy ones, so that's optional. I'm using my edge booster, and I'm just swooping and swirling those edges that I left out just to give her that kind of dramatic baby hair look. And I like to say, kind of comb your baby hairs forward first, and then swoop it to the back. Also using your finger to really mold it. So this was the part I was saying, y'all, look. She done took the stuff out and did her own thing. By the time I got back home, look, this is what we had. But look, I can't even deny it. It came out so nice. I mean, it's really, really nice. And it's really age appropriate. I like how she threw in the, kind of two ponytails with the bows. And that really gave it like that settled, young girl look. Y'all, look how neat those braids are. It was really giving. And she said that when she went outside, all her friends, oh my goodness, your mom really iced that. They said I iced it. So they really thought I ate it up. And I think so myself. Like, it really came out cute. And she just went in and defined her curls. And, did her little thing from day to day. Look at it, y'all. Switching up her bows and just kind of switching up how she did the curls. This style is super cute and super convenient. It was super quick and it doesn't require too much. And yeah, the hair is super cute, but just look how beautiful the model is, okay? That's my baby. But I hope you all were able to get some type of information or inspiration from this video. I hope you consider subscribing so that you don't miss what's coming next. All right, bless you all for watching.